Hey folks, Dan Frio here, the rate update. Today I have Jim from Charles Ruttenberg Realty in, and today's topic is we want to do is debunk the housing crash. There is so much YouTube clickbait in the housing market crash that we're going to debunk that, so don't go away. The gist of today's show is debunking the housing crash. I go on YouTube every day and all I see is housing crash, and these people are getting thousands of hits. They're realtors, or they're financial planners, or they're garbage men. And no disrespect, but what do you guys know about the housing crash? I get where, like my father, he's completely against stocks. He lived through the Depression. I get it. But today what we want to do is say, what happened back then? And we're not going to dwell on that. And then why could there be a crash? And why I think there will not be a crash. So thanks for coming in today, man.
Yeah, no problem.
So here's my thoughts. So you see this clickbait all the time. It's like housing market's going to crash, housing market's going to crash. So my thought on all this is let's go through the technologies or the technicals of all this stuff. We had back in the day, everything just went to hell in a handbasket. You had all these people that couldn't afford their mortgages, okay? So then they would reach out to the mortgage companies and they'd try to get relief. The ones that got relief basically got screwed. And then you had others maybe get relief, or they try to do a modification and they did this and they did that, and then they end up trying to short sell it because housing values just plummeted. We were excessively in a bubble because there was just bad underwriting. There were bad loans out there. If you had a 600 credit score, you could basically get a loan with no income documentation. So you could have waiters or waitresses buying $500,000 houses. It can't be sustained.
Right.
So now you have, let's eliminate the value of the houses right now. And let's say, okay, the technicals behind everything else. Supply and demand, where are we there?
Yeah, record low supply, record high demand.
Okay.
So simply put, housing prices are headed north, and the housing prices have headed north for the past 5 years.
But are we in a bubble? Do you think we're way overinflated?
I don't think we're in a bubble. I think that we're undervalued historically.
Okay.
And here's my main reason why. I think we've achieved the record prices that we saw back in 2008 and 9.
Yeah.
And the bottom fell out. And now we've come all the way back up through that trough, and we've reached those prices again. But we've had no growth from 2008 all the way to 2021.
So the house is worth $200,000 in 2008, went down to $100,000,
right? Because
of the crash. Now over those 10 years, we're back to the $200,000.
That's exactly right.
So if you figured out you had a 2% adjustment every year for 10 years, we would have been there anyways,
exactly.
and we couldn't have started the 200 and moved up from there because things were overvalued. Right. Okay, so that's one. The second thing is, mortgage lenders, we've learned our lesson. We're not in the business to take your house. We're in the business to collect money. So there's a thing out there called forbearance. It's a lot different than the mortgage modification piece. So the forbearance is basically allowing you as the homeowner to basically kick the can of your mortgage payments down the road 3, 6, 12 months, 18 months now that just came out. So you have the lenders who learned their lesson throughout this process to say, you know what, Mr. Homeowner, we're going to work with you in one way or another to make sure that you could stay in that house and make the payments. So you see that part of it. Equity in the houses. We just discussed the equity. Down in 2008, we were down at the 100, say, level, and then we've built up since then. So if people have been in their house for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they probably have equity built in the house.
That's a great point. So what we saw last year, we went through a year with COVID. There was a huge shutdown, a huge letdown, right? What wound up taking place is American families have saved $1.5 trillion over the past year. You've seen them, the people that went out and bought property back in 2010, 11, 12, when that dip took place, have now achieved more equity in their homes than we've ever seen.
Yeah, good point.
In the history of this country.
Yeah.
So, for those reasons, for the fact that there's lack of inventory, demand is pent up, interest rates are as low as they've ever been.
And the people in the loans that are out there right now, those are good quality loans that people had skin in the game. How it was before, you can get 100% financing. There were even loans out there at 125% financing. Obscene.
Right.
So, you just think about it. You're taking a loan at 125% of your home's value. It's going to take you 10 years to build up to be at 100%,
Exactly.
you can never sell that house.
Exactly.
So we have that part of it. So we discussed, basically, I have just a list of things here. Forbearance, that helps the homeowners stay in the property. You got quality of loans. You have the equity built up in the homes.
That's right.
You have rates that are still crazy low.
Right.
And you have the supply and demand, where you just said the demand way outruns the supply.
It does. And let's not forget about the $1.5 trillion that American families put in their pocket last year. So all of that being said, prices are headed north. I don't think that there's a housing bubble here. I don't think
either.
I think that we've debunked it, but
so let's say we debunk that part of it. Now you have a millennial that's out there saying, okay, maybe it's a good time. Maybe I will jump into this market. What would be the one, I guess the answer to this first one question? I'd really like to move out of mom and dad's house, but...
Yeah, so simply put, the whole purpose for this video, millennials think that they're buying the top of the market, and they think that this bubble has formed and they're afraid. And here we are to talk about it today, that we think the market's undervalued still.
Right.
We think that the market is still lagging and still has growth. You have plenty of growth.
And this is from professionals. I'm on the mortgage side of the equation. He's the realtor side of the equation. It's the perfect example is my reluctancy to buy Bitcoin when my son kept saying, buy Bitcoin at 7,000, buy Bitcoin at 10,000, buy Bitcoin at 20,000. I finally pulled the trigger at 20. Today it's at 51. So if I kept saying, oh man, it's a bubble, I miss the whole thing.
Yeah.
I miss it. So, I mean, that's the best way I can equate it to that.
Exactly. There's a limited supply of houses out there. There's a limited supply of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And that point is fantastic, and it's well taken. House prices are following that trend, and they're headed north, just like Bitcoin.
Awesome. So hopefully, I think we debunked the reason why the houses won't crash. We think that right now is a perfect time to buy. Where are you focused on? Where do you concentrate most of your efforts?
So I work with a brokerage out of Naperville, Illinois, Charles Ruttenberg Realty, and my focus is on the western suburbs of Chicago. I can be reached at 708-829-2652. Call or text, whatever's easiest, all hours of the day.
Awesome. So hopefully we debunked those issues for you guys. If you want to reach out to Jim, I'll put his cell phone number, his website, and his email address so you guys can get a hold of him right away. If you need pre-approved for a loan, we'd love to help you with that, because you don't want to, I won't say waste people's time, but we need to make sure you qualify for the price range that you're looking at. So we'll get them pre-approved before they head your way, and love to take care of anybody looking in the Naperville area. This is your man, and we'd love to get you pre-approved before you get out there. So thank you so much for watching. God bless. Don't forget to subscribe down below. Hit the bell over there so every time I do post a video, you get an alert. I will see you next week.